I hate gift giving and receiving.
Receiving gifts is so weird. What do you say, thank you?
This is Coffee Convos with Kale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley.
I really want you to be in your feels, Kale.
That does not interest me whatsoever.
I feel very attacked by you.
A spirited discussion about motherhood, friendship, family, and life in the public eye.
I'm just not with the fakery anymore.
There's a fakery bakery around here.
Here's Kale and Lindsay.
Hello, Coffee Combos, Fluffers, Kitty Gang. Welcome to the fucking podcast.
Welcome to the actual shit show. I need to tell you a recap of my entire morning.
Okay.
Are you ready?
No, because you came in guns fucking blazing, so I'm not ready.
Kristen goes, were you yelling? Yes, absolutely I was. Okay, so we all know the magic focus button on our iPhones that Kale and I love to use. And it's one of Kristen's favorite things that I do, but also I think she hates it when she can't get in touch with us.
Oh, yeah.
Bitch be ringing through the focus, okay? Tell you somebody else who was ringing through the focus this morning was my ex-husband.
Oh, hey, Will. Shout out to Will Campbell.
Shout out Will Campbell. Jackson and I went to dinner last night. We normally always go to the park, or we'll go do some type of outside activity and then do dinner on Wednesday and Thursday nights that I have him. And with summer fastly approaching, I just don't give a shit about school anymore.
Same. That's where I'm at.
I just don't. So it's if we're getting home from dinner at 9:30 at night, I'm very fine with it. So Will had told me that they were going to go to the beach on Friday. And I was totally fine. You can check him out of school after that 11 o'clock. He's counted for the full day. Don't care. Well, then as the week progresses, he's like, well, my brother wants to leave at 5 a.m. on Thursday. So Friday's not really going to work. And we're just kind of at this place in the co-parenting where we're just not really caring about days. We try to stay on schedule as much as we possibly can. But when things come up, it's perfectly okay. And neither of us care about school at this point. So I said, you can take Jackson and just pick him up from me on Thursday morning instead of him going to school. And then you guys can go ahead and head out. So I said, what time do I need to have him ready? He said 6:30 will be good. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But okay. So have my alarm set and my phone doesn't even go on the vibrate setting. So I'm not quite sure how my phone started vibrating in the bed this morning, but I see a number pop up that I don't know. And I'm like, who would be calling me this early from this number? And I have one eye halfway open.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, probably ex-boyfriend. I don't know who this is. This is crazy. I'm just not going to answer it. So then I start getting FaceTime videos from Will. And I'm like, why the hell is my ex-husband trying to FaceTime me?
From a number that you don't know?
No. Then it was him.
Oh, gotcha.
So I try to answer, and I thought that I answered his FaceTime, but really it was the number that I didn't know. And I was like, what? And he said, answer your fucking gate. And I'm like, oh, this is the number calling from my gate to let him in. So he comes to the door and Jackson's in the shower and he acts like it's an emergency. And I'm like, why are you being what you are right now? And he's like,
being what you are.
And he's taking his shoes off and he's all in a fluster. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I have to take a fucking emergency shit.
I've been there. I have absolutely been there.
I'm trying to fix Jackson breakfast, clean out my sink, all this stuff. He's in my powder room. And do you remember way back when Will and I were married and I talked about how I hated that he shit in the powder room? You don't shit
yes,
where
you don't
guests
shit
come over?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, now that he's actually a guest in my home, that would be the logical place that he would be taking a massive dump. But then he's in there hollering from the bathroom. And he's like, what happened in here in this bathroom? And I'm like, oh, the dog just ate off the fucking baseboard. But like, why are you talking to me in my house while I'm trying to fix my kid breakfast and you're taking a shit? Like, this is not normal. Like, it's truly not normal. But yeah, focus mode got me messed up. And then somebody just showed up at my door unannounced, without asking. So it's been a fun morning.
And that doesn't sit well with you ever. So even if they're like a wanted and liked guest.
Yeah, just like, don't come over.
Don't ever show up. Don't ever, no.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm exhausted as per usual. I got this Dunkin' drink that I'm drinking right now. If you hear the ice, it's called a Turtle. And I don't even think there's any coffee in it. It tastes like almost... it's supposed to be like a signature latte, but I really feel like it's just a milkshake. That's what it tastes like.
I don't really like milkshakes.
No, I really don't love them either, but I needed a midday pick-me-up because there's no reason why I should be this tired at 12 in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely not. I laugh sometimes because the amount of shit that I get done before noon in a day seems like very chaotic, but very productive. But also psychotic. Like, by the time that 6:28, they walked out this door at 6:28 this morning. Jackson was fed, showered, Will had shit. They were on the way. I made it to Pilates for an 8:00 class, went to the car wash, ran another errand, came home, had therapy, and decided for whatever reason that I was going to go out and prune my ferns.
What does prune mean?
You know, like, I don't really know, to be honest.
Okay.
I thought I did until my fern looks like what it does. It looks like what I would imagine a bowl cut looks like on a kid. I tried to take some kitchen shears out there. Well, I'm going to back up. Nanny asked me about my ferns, and she's a big fern woman. And I have been kind of lying about how well they're doing. And with the anticipation that she might be stopping by here tomorrow, I started getting nervous. So I was like, okay, I have two options here because I've been a major liar. I will either prune these ferns and get all the dead off and she'll never know, or I have to make a Home Depot or Lowe's trip to go and pick up some new ones to replace them and she'll also never know.
Okay.
But the bitches were fried. Like, when I tell you, you know me, I cannot keep a house plant alive. I cannot keep an outside plant alive. Like, the green thumb is not existing. So I was cracking myself up sitting outside on my porch this morning after doing all that shit outside the house. I'm like, I'm just going to go prune these ferns up here. So I take them out of the planter. And first one, it's starting to look good. And I'm like, okay, like the dead's coming off. Like this might not be so bad. Kale, I stood back, looked at it. And when I tell you the amount of wonkus of like what it looks like.
The wonkus? Is that a word? Or did you just make that up?
I've just used that word for forever. It's like wonkus. It just looks like all lopsided and like there's just things sticking out in areas that it probably shouldn't be sticking out. And it's like bald in some areas. Honestly, it looks like a misshaved cat.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's still sitting on my front porch. I was dying laughing because I put it on Instagram and the messages that came through, people were like, wait, are your neighbors watching you do this?
Are they? Were they?
And then it made me think that I probably look like that guy that I talked about that used to be my old neighbor that was outside cutting his grass with scissors.
With the scissors? Yep. Mm-hmm.
My neighbors now are probably thinking that that's me now. So it's been real fun. We had field day yesterday and last week or 2 weeks of school events stress me out. The amount of stuff that goes on, it's like field day, award ceremony, end of year class party, teacher gift. Like,
no, that's why I took off like the entire last week of school because I checked, the schedule and it didn't have like any of the dates for June. It only had up to May 31st. So I was like, fuck. And I told Kristen, I'm like, I don't want to have to last minute cancel because they want to last minute tell me what these days are. So the last week of June, not the last week of June, the last week of school, I pretty much took off from recordings because I was like, I have no idea what's what.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I just signed up to take 20 milk cartons to the school and I don't even know where I'm getting those. So, love that for me. And just, it gets to the point of the year that once like all the academic stuff is done, I know that the kids love it and they want to do the field day and the class party. And it's like what they work for all year long, but it's just like chaotic for parents.
It is. And I do feel bad for the parents who work full time, during the day. They work a 9 to 5 or, maybe they work at night and they sleep during the day and they can't be there, like that sucks, but it's also chaotic as well. So if there's any consolation in that, just know I see you're working your ass off. And honestly, I'd probably rather be sleeping than, running around on field day anyways. So shout out to all the moms that can't make it.
It made me so sad yesterday because I heard one of Jackson's little friends tell him, I wish my parents could come.
Stop.
And the field, remember me telling you that the field day was separated out into like 2 parts?
Yes, so that if one parent couldn't make it at that time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Will went to the early part and he was there for that time. And then they did popsicles and Jackson was like, Dad left just when the popsicles were being passed out. And then you came. And I feel so blessed that we have schedules that we're able to do that. But it made me so sad for the child that like didn't have either parent there.
Yeah. My mom never could come to any of that stuff. My mom never came to anything when I had school. I
honestly don't remember like field days and stuff like that being parent involved. Were they?
Also, no. And like, I don't know if I remember like years ago, we used to talk about going to lunch with our kids at school. That was never a thing when I was in school. When I was in elementary school, I never, ever remember a single parent coming to sit with their kids for lunch.
Oh, I do. And you know how, well, no, you don't because you don't remember it, but there used to be a rule when a parent came to like have lunch with their kid that they could bring a friend to like the table with them. So I was friends with the people that their parents always came and I got to go and eat with them.
You're and like, it wasn't my parents. Are you bringing Chick-fil-A?
And I just acted, yeah, it would be like a mom who brought like Atlanta Bread Company sandwiches or like Chick-fil-A or Subway or whatever. And I'm like, I'm really doing the most here with the least.
Period.
Want to know, how are you going to keep the kids busy? I know that you talked about doing camps and whatever and how you were kind of like undecided on that. And
I honestly have no clue. Like, I don't have any idea. The camps that I'm finding, and that because I asked on like my personal Facebook, none of the camps are old enough. They're not for Isaac. They're for ages under Isaac. So I really don't know how I'm going to keep the kids busy. Like I truly don't.
So you didn't sign them up for any camps yet?
Lincoln signed up for basketball camp.
Just one?
Yeah, it's just like a week long.
Camp, a week long camp. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's easier when I just have one because I don't have to split, the money to go like different places. But and it's also, you got to think too, like the chaos of transporting them to the camps. Like you got to get one to one place, one to another place. It's just hard. The nice thing is though, you do have the pool at home, so that'll kind of keep them entertained somewhat. But I don't know about you, we get stir crazy at home. Like it's good to have like home days, and I love those sometimes, especially like if it's like a rainy day or something like that. I love to be able to just like stay at home, have a lazy day, do things around the house. But like all summer long, no.
Yeah, I mean, the summer does. We also have like our little basketball court for Lincoln, but that's, they can only do that so many days in a row. You know what I mean? Like there's only so many days in a row you can do that. And, I would like to be able to take them to go do stuff. It's also really hard to do stuff here because like I said before, it's like hours and hours of a drive. So like, an hour or two to Baltimore, to DC, to Philly. to all these places. And, you know, I have a lot of kids, so I got to consider that. And like, it's an entire field trip to take them. I mean, maybe we could try different parks for a while, like just local ones to make it easier.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know, like parents with multiples, I'm like, that's a whole different breed of mom and dad, honestly.
Like, that might stress me out.
It might stress me out.
All right, Earth Breeze is one of these companies that we absolutely love because they're eco-friendly. My new Earth Breeze laundry detergent eco sheets look like dryer sheets, but they're actually not. It's a revolutionary liquidless laundry detergent that dissolves 100% in any wash cycle, hot or cold. So you're never going to get the measuring, the mess, the heavy jugs. And if you're like me, I hate when my heavy jugs, they just drip liquid after I use them. This saves the mess completely.
I love having a clean laundry room and not having to worry about that. When I was not using these, I would have to wash off the top of my laundry all the time. It makes it so much easier. And the whole concept of detergent is just better. The packaging is lightweight, biodegradable, and plastic free. And it's great for all laundry lifestyles, even sensitive skin. I know that Jackson and I have sensitive skin. And don't you have a few kids with sensitive skin too?
Yes, I do.
And their eco sheets are hyperallergenic and dermatologist tested. So it just makes me feel better when I'm using these. Earth Breeze is compatible with high efficiency washers, gray water systems, and is septic safe. They offer flexible subscriptions that can be adjusted, paused, or canceled by you at any time. No contracts or fees. I try to stock up on these when it starts getting close to summertime and I travel because I like to clean my laundry before I come home. So this is just nice to be able to pack in your suitcase.
Oh yeah, remember when we stayed at that Airbnb in Dallas? We have these with us.
Love it. And you don't have to take our word for it. You can try it for yourself with your risk-free 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like it, Earth Breeze will give you a full refund, no questions asked, no return necessary. Switch from the old-fashioned goo to something new. Right now, our listeners can subscribe to Earth Breeze and save 40%. Go to earthbreeze.com/coffeeconvos to get started. That's earthbreeze.com/coffeeconvos for 40% off. earthbreeze.com/coffeeconvos. Also, you know how you were talking about on the last episode about how you forgot your makeup bag?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wanted to follow up on that. Like, what did you do?
I didn't wear makeup to the company dinner.
One thing that if I had to pick something to leave behind, that would be the last thing that I would want left behind because I think it is the most expensive stuff to replace. And it's so chaotic to try to get more.
Yeah, because you have to go through the matching thing and then
yeah,
it's just expensive. So I'm not, I mean, Kristen went makeupless to the company dinner as well. So she didn't leave me hanging.
You always forget something when you travel.
Always.
Like it's normally panties.
Yes. Which I did pee in them. On the other day I peed in my underwear. And I was like, oh my God.
Wait, what?
Because I was in New York and I was in like I was having a time crunch.
Kill. You being in New York is not, you're like, I pissed my pants because I was in New York.
Yeah, because I was stuck in a vehicle. And then you know how traffic is. And so by the time I got into, I think it was Kristen's hotel room, I had peed my pants. So we had to go on a hunt for new underwear because I went to her hotel, which my stuff wasn't at because I stayed at a different hotel. So we had to buy underwear.
That seems very chaotic, and I feel like you always have to buy underwear.
Oh.
Don't owe me.
I mean, it's probably accurate.
Literally told us a story about you taking your kids, and it's always when you go to New York, too.
Because it's chaotic there.
Like, what about, no, it was evidently chaotic before you started traveling because you forgot your drawers.
Forgot your drawers.
In the summertime, do you completely like shift up your makeup and skincare routine? Because I'm in the process of going through my makeup bag and I use a different foundation in the summer, different concealer, don't really wear mascara. I do the lash lift and tint, which is so nice because then you don't have to worry about, just being like black underneath your eyes. I use a different color blush in the summertime. My skincare pretty much stays the same, except I up the ante on the moisturizer.
I was just about to say, that's what I'm doing right now because for some reason my jaw area and my chin are like so freaking dry. So I'm just, I changed my face wash and I'm doing a different serum right now because I use the Tatcha moisturizer right now. So I just got the rice face wash and the serum to go with it because I feel like it's super thick and like, what is the word? Potent. So I'm using that right now. I don't really switch up my makeup too much. In the summer, I do CC cream or BB cream, like a tinted moisturizer situation. But right now I'm trying not to wear it because my face is so dry. It looks disgusting. Like when I put makeup on it.
I use CC cream all year round.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, do you use a regular foundation?
Yeah, I use Complexion Rescue, which is not doing well with my dry skin. I usually use that, or I use, like, honestly, I have my drugstore. Like, I don't use expensive foundations. Like, I literally don't care. I have to use everything until they're gone. So I won't get new anything until I use all of it.
We've talked about this before that I don't want to sound wasteful, but if something's like just not working, I'm not going to keep using it for the sake of, I'm like not wanting to waste this. Like it was a waste at the point that I bought it and it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to just like sign up to continue to look like shit.
Well, in other news, I have a question for you. And there's maybe different people will have different opinions on this. So anyone who has their own opinion on it, please put it in our Facebook group so I can see what is going on.
I'm scared.
It's nothing bad. I just have a question. So when you were or are in a relationship with someone and you guys go to an event, a work dinner, a work anything, or you go to, it could be like a birthday party, anything. Are you a representation of your relationship or are you still a representation of your family, like your parents, your siblings, your family?
Well, if I'm going to something I'm going to try to relate it to something that would be like real life. If I'm going to something that would be like a working event for the person that I'm with, I feel like I would be more inclined to be a representation of them since it was their event versus being a representation of just myself and what I would find appropriate or a representation of my family.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
But if I'm going to an event that would be like for me, I feel like I'm going to be a representation of myself.
And still not your family.
Yeah, why? Let's be honest.
There was comments.
Do we think Coffee Convos podcast is a representation of Todd Chrisley?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Like,
okay.
Shout out to
We're
Todd.
talking about clits and stuff on here.
Yeah, no. At no point do I ever think of Coffee Combos podcast and I'm like, wow, this is a representation of Boozy, Susie, and Todd Chrisley. Like I have never ever thought that in my entire life.
I cannot. Boozy, Susie.
Kristen came up with that one.
Like, I can't. Wait, you may tell you something that someone asked me. They sent me a long DM. I'll try to find it. But the question was, would you interview, now we're going to coin the phrase Boozy Susie, would you interview her for a podcast episode if Kale would let you? And I'm like thinking to myself, absolutely not.
You wouldn't?
No. If you were willing to do the interview with me and I could interview y'all.
No, I would love to just be a fly on the wall. She doesn't know I'm there. I would love to hear her version because like just of events of my childhood, of all of it, I would love to hear her uninfluenced, like me not sitting there answers because, you know, when I wrote Pride Over Pity, and I had said this before, like years ago, you know, I had to get permission from the people for a lot of the things that I wrote. So like Janet said no to a part that I wrote in there that involved her. She would not sign off on it. My mom surprisingly signed off on everything. She didn't have me change a damn thing in my book, not one thing. And so she obviously acknowledges what's in my book. So I would be curious to know, just in general, everything else, like, what is her version, you know?
Okay. I think I would maybe do it, but with boundaries.
Okay.
And also it would be hard for me. Like, I would definitely need to prepare for something like that because I know too much. So it would be hard for me to be a non-biased interviewer.
Okay. Yeah. And that's part of it.
And so how would I interview Boozy Susie and her say something that I know your lived version is different, and me not be like, well, actually, that's not what happened. You know, like, that would be really hard. But if she signed up for it and knew what she was going into before she agreed to do it, then of course I would do it. But I wouldn't feel comfortable also doing it without you being present to some degree to be able to defend yourself or to hear what was going on. Like, that would just be weird to me.
I haven't seen her in so long.
Should we try to call her?
Well, I don't have her phone number, but I mean, she does have a Facebook. I don't know if how often she uses it, because the last I knew, she was just like not an internet girly. Like, she wasn't a person. She just like wasn't in touch. But yeah, I mean, that would be very, very interesting. And she has to acknowledge some of it, right? Like, there has to be, but you know, Kristen, you know what? Maybe you should start looking for Susie.
Yeah, I think that we should start looking. Remember when we were looking for Susie that one time and we acted like we were the literal Federal
PIs.
Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, we were literally private investigators looking for a person.
I would send you like screenshots and I'd be like, I think I found her.
I literally had the craziest dream about her and her husband the other night, and I woke up, the sheets were soaking wet because I was sweating.
Isn't that the craziest thing when you are like in such a dream and it feels so real?
It's almost made me sick. And then I saw a TikTok and it was like, don't worry. So, because I used to fixate on details of my dreams. Like, what does this mean? Like, what is this trying to tell me? And the guy was like, stop fixating on the details of the dream and focus more on how it makes you feel. And I was like, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I was really interested, you know, just by him saying that. And I was like, that's such a good point. Like, you need to, because your dreams are trying to tell you something about how you are processing your emotions during your wake life and things like that. And I was like, that is such a good point. And that makes more sense than like trying to figure out what the color of a spider means, you know, or this dream with my mom and her husband or her boyfriend, whatever, had sharks in it. Like, why am I going to try to specify what type of shark it is? Like, that doesn't matter. It's how I felt and how much I was sweating profusely when I woke up.
Interesting that you say that, because I had a dream the other night where I was trying to analyze why I was having this dream. And I rarely remember details of dreams. And remember me saying, once I divorced, like, I didn't know if I was dreaming, even though I know that like we're always dreaming. I just never remembered a dream.
Yeah.
And I don't know like why I wasn't. So the other night I woke up to go pee and I was dreaming about somebody's ex-wife punching me in the face. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay, like, is this like actually something that I should be alarmed by? Or like, is this something that's internally going on with me? Like, why is this? But back to Boozy Susie. Are we going to try to find her?
Yes. I'm putting that on Kristen's to-do list.
Also, Kristen just like put another hat on today that she didn't prepare herself to be wearing. Another part is, if I did agree to do the interview with Susie, I would want a vlog element, because I feel like people would need to see it.
Oh, 100%. 100% they would have to see it.
you know?
Yeah. For sure. They would have to see it.
Do you feel like her recollection of events would be very different than yours?
I don't know, because I have faith that she is not going to make me look like a liar because she signed off on the book. So that's like my number one.
Like if you wanted to dispute it, why didn't you then?
Right. And so maybe once we get into details that are not in the book and more like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that she does. And also we would have to wonder, like, her version while sober is probably very different than her version while she's under the influence, because I think there's a lot of guilt that comes up when she's under the influence. And that's when she's like, you know, I should have been there more. And so, you know, her real feelings and her real memory, like, of things will come up when she's under the influence, where when she's sober, she might be a little more defensive and she doesn't want to be judged. That's just my thoughts. So that would have to be taken into consideration as well.
Do you feel like you're in a place that we could actually do this?
I do.
Okay. So TBD.
Coffee Combos Podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. So while you're listening to us talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now: getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more.
So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
So good money habits start with your very first paycheck. So Isaac is almost at that age where he's about to get his first job. And I definitely want to focus on really good financial habits. I want to teach him healthy finances. And when you sign up for Chime and link a qualifying direct deposit, you get access to benefits like getting paid up to 2 days early and fee-free overdraft up to $200. And with Chime, there are no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and no deposit required to become a member. I definitely want to teach Isaac all of the things that Chime has taught me.
What a great way to help him jumpstart a healthy financial journey. If you guys have not heard of Chime and you want to get started, you can sign up for a Chime checking account today to link your paycheck. It only takes 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/convos. That's chime.com/convos. Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank NA or Stride Bank NA, members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on your payer. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. See chime.com/spotme. This is from the Facebook group.
Let's hear it.
What are some of the ways of being intimate that are non-sexual that you and your partner do or you like?
Massages, but usually they lead to intimacy. I've said
Touching leads to intimacy altogether.
Well, Elijah's thing has since the day we met has been showering together, and we don't have sex in the shower because I hate it. So for us, it's like showering together.
I always thought couples who shower together were so weird. And the first time I ever knew of people like showering together was my biological mom and my stepdad. And I always thought it was the strangest thing. And I'm like, that just seems so controlling. Like, why can't you get in the shower and wash privately and like have a moment to yourself? And I never really understood that, but I never have really felt like showers were a sexual or should be a sexual thing. I'm getting in to get clean and then I want to get out. I don't mind doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like really bother me, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable with my child or someone else's children knowing that we were showering together.
Oh yeah, this is always when my kids are in bed. Because
like,
Elijah,
what are you guys doing in there?
Literally, we get clean and we talk. Like that's like our time where we like because Elijah works in concrete, so he's filthy, sweaty, smells like outside, the whole nine by the time he gets home. Once the kids are in bed, we will shower together and he'll like tell me about his day in there. Or like I'll tell him something, you know, that happened or whatever. We haven't actually been able to shower together in a long time because we've been so busy. And if I have a minute to shower before the kids go to bed, I try to do that because by the time I do all the bedtime routines and stuff, eat dinner, or if there's a sports night, it's just too late for me to shower. So sometimes I'll shower as soon as we get home from school just so that I can get a shower in for the day.
Do you feel like you view the chats and stuff like it is a comfortable and like an at peace place that you can do that and just be like in that moment without any distraction?
Like you mean when we were in the shower?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and also no hate, Elijah, if you're listening to this, he mumbles. Like he's a man of very few words, and so sometimes he like talks like this, and like you have to pay really close attention to what he's saying because you can't hear him. And so I'll be like, what did you just say? And so when we're in the shower, he's right there so I can hear him. And so it's just like there's no distractions. I can really focus on what he's saying.
Ways of being intimate that are non-sexual, sitting on my porch just with like the little twinkle lights and a fire.
Oh, that's cute.
And, you know, just like some chats, dinners with no phones.
Oh, yeah.
That's like one of my favorites. I have very much learned to accept the fact that I'm not going to have Jackson 100% of the time. And I very much value my time being able to do that without any distraction on like a Friday that I don't have Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's very nice to just have the adult quality time where you can have whatever conversations that you want to have without feeling like you have little ears that are listening.
Right.
That's really nice. And like a wind down from the week, you know, like the week just gets so chaotic sometimes. And I feel like if you do not invest in those intentional moments without any distraction, then your relationship's probably going to start getting
Crumbling.
some problems.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is also from the Facebook group. How many weeks were you when you delivered your kids? Any tips, tricks, old wives' tales to go into labor? I was 34 weeks when I went into labor with Jackson. And then I was in the hospital for like 3 days while they stopped labor. I was on bed rest from the time I went home, and they put me on a medication. And that medication you could only take up to 36 weeks and 6 days or something like that. I went off of the medication, and within 24 hours, I went into full-blown labor and had him at 37 weeks.
Jesus crap.
Mm-hmm.
That's really scary.
It's weird, too, because I always heard that, and hearing things about pregnancy, I feel like you can't really go off of anybody else's experience because everybody's experience is just so different. I do think that this is what should happen. And a lot of people like fall in that textbook category, but then there's a lot of outliers too.
Mm-hmm.
I always heard that like with your first, that it's normally like your longest carrying time, and that some doctors will let you go over 40 weeks. And so I was kind of like terrified of that. That just wasn't my experience. And they automatically told me if I had a second child, I would be considered high risk.
Yes.
Because I delivered term at 37
But you went
weeks.
into labor at 34, so you would definitely be high risk.
Mm-hmm.
I had, Isaac was 35. I went into labor, but
Wonder why.
I think my period was probably wrong because he ended up coming out 6 pounds, 4 ounces. I mean, the only thing that was a little bit of a complication was the liver and jaundice. So I think that possibly me being so young, maybe my period was off. I don't know. Lincoln was over 40 weeks. Lux was right on time. Creed was right on time. So, but Creed obviously had a really traumatic entrance into the world. So, I think the only advice that I would give to going into labor is the nipple stimulation, because that is what my doctor told me is the only one that is proven to have like to actually work, and the rest of them are kind of like dangerous depending on what you do and how many you try at a time. So I'm not going to recommend anything else other than nipple stimulation or orgasms if your doctor is okay with it.
Wait, back up. Because I've never heard about the nipple stimulation thing or the orgasm thing. I've only heard of the old wives' tales of castor oil, eggplant parmesan.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Eggplant?
Have you never heard of
No,
those?
never. I've heard of the castor oil, which I don't even know what that is or where to find it, but
I'm not recommending that to anybody. I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm just saying I've heard people do
Talk
it,
about
and some
it.
people say it works, and some people have said that it doesn't. That was not something that I was willing to risk. I mean, I quite honestly wasn't in a state to do that because his room had just gotten finished being put together when I went into labor. And the crazy thing was too, is I was measuring 4 weeks behind. So I went into labor at 34 weeks, but I was measuring 30. So I think they were just terrified. But when I had him, he was 6 pounds and 10 ounces at 37 weeks.
So imagine if we would have went full term with Isaac and Jackson, we would have had 10-pound babies.
Yeah, that's just like not a thing. Like my vagina is not cut out for that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Also, I don't want to say this, but like I do think that like sex could have had something to do with
Allegedly, semen softens the cervix. And then an orgasm, it's pulsating, it's contracting, and you know what I mean? So I think that's part of it.
I think that could have been what possibly happened my second round when I went into labor at 37 weeks.
Oh,
that's the first
gotcha.
time I've ever said that. But yeah, I think that might have been the case.
Had something to do with it.
Of course, me in the hospital, like with all of my parents there and Will's parents there, I'm like, I just like honestly don't know what happened. Like, I just don't know.
No clue.
I just started feeling like this was not Braxton Hicks, and
it was time to come in.
It was time. He was going to enter the world. There is no better feeling than making it to the hospital with, I did have complications getting there because Will missed turns, but outside of that, getting there and knowing that like you're safe at the hospital and the doctors are there, I felt secure and fine once I reached that point, but I internally was freaking out on the way. I was scared to be one of those news stories where you pull over and the baby's like born in the seat.
That was almost Lux.
I don't know what I would have done. I'm not cut out for stuff like that.
They never even got the IV in me for Lux, and my doctor never made it. The nurses hit the button on the wall. Everyone flocked in the room. And one of the nurses caught him. He shot out like a bat out of hell. I don't think Chris is probably still traumatized, like to this day. He's probably like, what in the fuck kind of samurai shit situation is this? Like,
does the delivery get easier?
No, no. Because Lux was 90 minutes flat from the time my water broke to the time he entered this world. And Creed was like 9 hours.
It's so funny to hear a man's perspective on labor because obviously my dad had kids with 2 different women. And obviously we all know it's no secret that we're all different down there. And my dad said that my biological mom had no issues with labor whatsoever. It was like she didn't break a sweat, had the babies, walked out of the hospital in blue jeans, like non-maternity blue jeans. Julie's experience was absolutely totally different. She had hard labors with both Chase and Savannah, and then ended up having an emergency C-section with Grayson. And it's just so weird how different women can have completely different experiences, but be going through the exact same thing.
It's very strange. It's such like, and I've wondered that too. Like when you have kids with different women, like, do you view them differently? Do you view them the same? I just have so many questions. What do you mean? Like, I don't know.
Because I can probably answer this question, so ask it.
Okay, so say, I don't know, like I'm not going to use my situation because I don't want to piss anybody off.
Use mine as an example.
Okay, so say Will has, went through everything with you and Jackson and you were so strong and he had this like, he watched his wife, give birth to his first son, right? Is he going to view that whole situation and everything that you guys went through different than like if he was to have a child with someone else?
I would honestly hope so because we were so young when we had Jackson, 23. And I think that he didn't know what to expect. So it was like the first time going through something. And I kind of always felt like because my dad said that he was never in love with my mom, my biological mom, that it made the experience with Julie better because he was in love with her. But I had to learn through therapy that he was more ready to show up to that occasion with her in a different way than he was able to show up to the occasion with my biological mom. And so I no longer hold resentment for that now because I know mentally he was just in such a different place with her that it actually had nothing to do with the kids. It had to do with his relationship with her. And so I think if Will had another child with someone else, I would hope that that child would be brought into this world like Jackson was in an in-love situation, but he would be able to show up to that occasion much differently because one, he's older, has more life experience, and two, he's been through all of that before.
Right.
So Will was great when we went through that experience, but he just didn't have the experience, which most first-time parents don't. I just had a lot of experience with babies because I had so many siblings.
Yeah. Did you like having siblings growing up?
No,
Oh.
I didn't.
No.
I've told my dad for so long. And like anytime we all get in fights, I'm like, this is where you went wrong. Like you should have stopped after me, but then like you could not stop. So then you did it 15 months later and then 7 years later and then 15 months after that. And then that wasn't enough for y'all. So then you had to do it again when I was 17.
17 years apart between you and Grayson?
Grayson. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. There's 17 years gap. So they just like kept having kids. And I'm like, if you loved me so much, because my dad said that when I was born, it was the first time he felt like he ever experienced
True love
and like what that was and felt like. And I'm like, okay, well, if that was the experience that you had, why'd you have to keep going? And I was meant to be an only child. Like I was.
Okay, Isaac. Isaac just tells me to stop having kids because they'll just all be boys. And he's only okay if I have more kids if they're girls. But
you're like, we don't really have control.
I don't have any control over that. But that is so fun. You're like, why did you keep going? Like, I am the best of the best. So like, what did you need more for?
Listen, I love my siblings in unique ways indivially.
But
so
you don't
like,
always like them.
Right. And they don't always like me. And I personally don't care. I just, I don't. Like, you came after me, so literally nothing you say matters.
You came after me, so nothing you say matters. Oh my God.
Oh man. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar. Now get 20% off every IQ Bar product plus free shipping when you text Convos to 64,000.
IQ Bar. These are perfect for me because sometimes I'd be waking up in the middle of the night and I'm a little hungry, but I don't feel bad eating IQ Bar in the middle of the night because these are plant protein for strong muscles, prebiotic fiber for a happy gut, happy fats for clean, crash-free energy. Although I don't eat them for energy in the middle of the night. I eat them just because I'm hungry. But like I said, I don't feel bad because it tastes really good. And I know that it's like a good option versus like eating a bag of chips in the middle of the night.
I absolutely love IQ Bar. I keep them in my car. And this is the first bar that I've ever tried that I love all flavors. Like it doesn't matter which one I'm getting. I never look at the label to see which one it is, which is really nice. I've never been able to find other bars that I love like that. And it fits every diet: keto, paleo, vegan, gluten-free. All of them has next to no sugar or net carbs. IQ Bar is holistic and natural. It's made with real food, not chemicals. botanicals loaded with plant protein, prebiotic fiber, healthy fats, and functional nutrients like the lion's mane adaptogen. And it's great like for grab and go breakfast, like Kale said, I guess when she's waking up in the middle of the night, pre or post workout. And when you have that little afternoon slump, they're great for that too. IQ Bar is the #1 brain and body protein bar in the US with over 10,000 5-star reviews and hundreds of thousands of happy customers. You can create that feeling of finally discovering a truly nutritious bar that actually tastes good. And now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text combos to 64,000. Get your discount, text combos to 64,000. That's combos to 64,000.
You think Vanderpump Rules is messy now?
It's always been messy. I'm Jax Taylor, the OG Pump Rules villain.
And I'm Brittany Cartwright, wife of the OG villain. And we've got a new podcast, When Reality Hits.
We'll definitely be talking about Vanderpump Rules, past and present, and oh my, Scandival.
Ugh. And you'll get a look at what life is like for us now as we figure out marriage and parenthood. Little cruisy.
And friendships, and definitely feuds.
It's our real reality, with and without cameras.
And sometimes with special guests like our celeb friends, former castmates, and other veterans of reality TV.
So listen to and follow When Reality Hits with us, Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright.
At Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, well, speaking of love and hate and all the things, also have a funny story to kind of go along with this. This is a question. If you were trying to go on a cheaper honeymoon, where would you go? At this phase of my life, I don't want to go on a cheap honeymoon.
Facts.
You said facts. Speaking of honeymoon, the other day, Will showed up over here for something, and he was wearing our honeymoon shirt. And I was like, certainly, like, you don't wear that around girls that, like, come over and hang out at your house. Like, that would be fucking weird. Like, oh, where'd you get that shirt? It says honeymooner on it, on the front.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Like in the left-hand corner of the shirt, it just says, like, honeymooner on it.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, sir, like, I think that although you might like that shirt and it might feel comfy, I think it's time to retire it.
Sometimes, like, I get a kick out of stuff like that, and I always wonder, I think we've talked about, like, using gifts from our exes, like, in the past on here. I had bought my ex a Louis Vuitton wallet for a gift at some point in our relationship, and I always wondered how long after we were no longer together did he use it. I think I later found out he actually bought a new Louis Vuitton wallet so that he still had a Louis Vuitton wallet, but not the one that I got him specifically.
Okay. Funny that you say that, because I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I said the transition to my house that I'm in now, it was kind of easy because, one, my house was a new house and there was, like, no memories here, right? But I also didn't bring anything with me other than, like, personal items. And by personal items, I mean, like, just, like, clothes and stuff like that. All my stuff is new. So, like, I was fortunate to be able to be in that position to be able to do that. But I just wonder if Will ever thinks when he's sitting on his couch, if he's like, oh, this was, like, my couch when I was married. Or, like, if he has a new girl come over there and she's just, like, hanging out on the couch, is that, like, weird?
I mean, I had the marital bed for a long time.
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So,
And marriage mattress?
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to go.
I mean, it's gone now, but I did have it for a long time.
I'm really weird about stuff like that. And it's like, no, I'm not being on the same mattress with, like, multiple people. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get that now. Like, the only person that's ever been in my bed is Elijah. And if we were to split, I'm getting a new mattress. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. I just feel like it traps sexual energy that, like, shouldn't go into another relationship. Is that nuts?
No, I agree. Also, just, like, not to be TMI. I mean, there's nothing TMI on this fucking podcast, but, like, the bodily fluids of, like, us as a partnership, as a union, like, we don't need that. So that's going to be a no.
That's a no for me, dog. We got off on a whole tangent about the honeymoon shirt, and then that just went into a whole full-blown conversation. Very relatable. But back to the honeymoon thing, I am convinced that traveling to Mexico to an all-inclusive is the way to go.
I think out of all my vacations, definitely Mexico was the most affordable. I don't like the word cheap. I don't want to say the word cheap because I think affordable is better. But also I would say any all-inclusive, it right now, and I could be wrong by saying this, but just maybe off the top of my head, I feel like the flights right now are the most expensive part. So some of the all-inclusives that I've stayed at are like Jamaica. I went to Jamaica, Negril, Jamaica for the Royalton. That's an all-inclusive. That was really nice, right on the water. Lindsay and I have both stayed at Moon Palace, Cancun. I stayed at the Mayan Palace in Riviera Maya, Mexico, which was all-inclusive. And so I think if you can find an all-inclusive outside of the States, because one of the ones that I stayed at in Key Largo was way more expensive than if I would have went out of the country.
I agree. I feel like traveling within the US, to me, I feel like you get a better bang for your buck when
Outside.
I travel to Mexico. And also, I feel like you're able to kind of budget better because when you know exactly kind of what the entire cost is versus getting there and then incurring cost of like very expensive meals, that kind of stuff can add up. So in my opinion, if you can find an all-inclusive that is reputable and nice and, you know, suits your fancy, that is the way to go.
Also, I'm not a huge fan of cruises. I have done one, but they are they can be very affordable. That's an option. And the only reason why I suggest that, even though I'm not a fan, is because if you go to like if you go on a multi-stop cruise, you could always see a spot that you really, really like. And you can, you know, maybe plan in the future to go back to that one specific location. I always suggest that to people who want to go on a vacation on a budget. I don't think with me and all my children right now, a cruise would be as affordable, but like if you're going one person, two person kind of thing. And I think cruises, you have like payment plan options.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, next question. I'm interested to know. I actually feel like I know what you're going to say about this, but interested. Do you feel like you have to be close to your partner's family? Do both of you and your partner have to attend family functions, or is it okay for one to go?
So in my previous relationships, I wanted to be close with my partner's family, mainly because of my childhood issues and trauma. Like I just longed for a family so bad. That being said, going into this relationship with Elijah, I would say that my guard was very much up. I was very, very apprehensive to meet his family. And then both before when I wanted to be close with the family and now where I am more guarded, both situations, I feel like it is okay for them to go to family events without me. Like, Elijah asked me if I wanted to go to dinner for his mom's birthday. And, I had just found out the day of, and unfortunately I just said, like, I can't go because one, it's just not fun to bring all my kids to a restaurant. That's number one. Number two, they're not going to eat half the food, so I really don't want to pay for it. And I was like, you should really go to dinner with your mom for her birthday. Like, absolutely, you go. I'll stay with the kids. Like, go enjoy dinner with your mom, your family, whatever, and I'll stay with the kids because I don't want to put that on them. Like all my kids at a restaurant for her birthday, and I'm stressed out. They're stressed out. They're running around. So I think it all depends on the scenario. There's obviously situations where you don't get along with the family and you don't want to go. So it just depends.
To me, at my age now, I feel like I look at things so differently than I would have looked at them when I was married. And it was hard to like break habits once we created them at like 19 years old, So
right.
That was really hard. After a lot of therapy, I feel like it is important to be close to your partner's family because that is an extension of them and that is a part of who they are. If I had to do it over again, I was in Will's family and involved with him for the majority of my estrangement from my family. And so I very much invested all of my time and what he had going on with his relationships with his family, and kind of like tried to find my own place in that.
Okay.
If I was going back, I probably would have done that a little bit differently, because I feel like I lost so much when I went through the divorce. It wasn't like I just lost Will. I lost all of those relationships that I had invested so much time, effort, and energy into.
100%.
And at the end of the day, his family is his family, and they belong to him, not to me. And so it was kind of a divorce from the entire family. So that really, really sucked. I feel like it's super important to have an identity within your own self, and not just investing into your partner's family and those relationships. But I would want to be close to somebody else's family with boundary setting. And I think that it is important for them to be able to go and do family things without you. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have encouraged Will to do more things with his mom solo without both of us. When we would celebrate things like Mother's Day and stuff, it was like he was celebrating his wife and his mother. If I was going back, I would tell him, like, you need to invest in doing something with your mom as her being your mother outside of me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay to do certain family things without the other. There's a lot of things going on in life. And if I have a conflict in my schedule that I can't be present for something, I don't think somebody should have to sit out because I can't go.
Right. 100%. And I don't know if I was always like that. Like, I probably in my younger years would have been, felt left out or whatever the case may be. I don't really know. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. Like, I think it's totally healthy, and, that wouldn't bother me.
Next question. This came from the Facebook group, and whoever asked this already knows the answer to this question. Have you ever dated, or are you currently with a guy that is shorter than you? If so, have you ever felt insecure about it?
Yes. I mean, I have always dated people like right at my height. I think Javi might be like an inch or two shorter than me. And I think the same for Joe, might be right at my height or maybe an inch or two shorter than me. Elisha is maybe an inch or two taller than me. And even just that makes me feel insecure, because I feel like it makes me look so much bigger, even though I'm really not. I just look like an Amazon. So yes, I am insecure about it. I always have been. I've always been super insecure about my height. I've always felt like I have been out of place. No friend really, until I was in high school, matched my height. And so I've always felt out of place, no matter if it was friendships, cousins, relationships, all of it. I hate it.
I always wanted to be taller than what I am. And my sister feels significantly taller than me. Like, if you look at photos of us, she just looks so much taller and just like a completely different build than I am. And I always envied girls that were like 5'7", 5'8". And I was like, maybe I'm going to grow to be that one day. And I never did. So it would be really hard for someone to be shorter than me, because I'm 5'4.5". And the half does matter.
It does matter.
Sometimes I'll lie and say I'm 5'5". I do have long legs, so I feel like people think that I'm taller than what I actually am. Don't you feel like I'm really small?
I was about to say, I didn't expect you to say 5'4.5". I guess like 5'6" maybe.
Yeah.
Because your legs are really long.
I have really long legs, but don't you feel like I'm like a small person in person?
No, I guess I never thought of you. Like, I'm thinking of both of you and V, like my co-hosts. And I guess I thought you were closer to my height, but I guess not.
No, definitely not. I feel like you're so much taller than me. So I've never been with somebody that is shorter than me. Have I been with somebody that's short? Yes. But I also have brothers that Grayson's tall. He's like over 6 foot. My dad's like 5'9" or 5'10". Kyle's 5'9" or 5'10". Chase is around that same. Suburban dad was 5'9". Will's 6'5".
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And like, my preference is definitely like anywhere from, like 6'1", 6'2" to 7 foot.
I was watching this other podcast and they were reading like really funny tweets.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, what is like the most offensive thing that you've said? And one of the girls tweeted that like, you're not tall enough to talk to me that way. And I was fucking crying.
Goodbye. That is so funny. If you are under 6 foot, don't raise your voice at me.
Don't raise your voice at me. You're not tall enough to talk down on me.
Oh my God. Okay. This is also from the Facebook group. Have you ever struggled with bleeding after sex?
Only while pregnant. Weird enough.
Fair enough.
Which I guess isn't actually that weird, but yeah, I've had like while I was pregnant, especially with Lux, I would get super upset and anxious and nervous because I would bleed. And, you know, I had multiple miscarriages before Lux. So like I was constantly checking for blood and constantly concerned. And it wasn't just like a little bit of blood. It was always a quite a bit. So
I tell way too much on this podcast, but at this
Same.
point, there's no reverting back.
No holds barred.
No. I have a short cervix, so it doesn't take much to, you know, like get up there. And sometimes it'll be like just pink, but not blood. But I wouldn't say I've struggled with bleeding after sex. When I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this is like making somebody bleed for like days or something. Only if it started my period.
I definitely would check with your GYN for that because while I don't know that it would be like anything serious, it's definitely something worth mentioning to your provider. Coffee Combos podcast is sponsored by Better Sleep. I literally just talked about not sleeping well, and I think part of the problem is that my phone needed to update, so I didn't have the things that I usually use on my phone before bed, and one of them is having the option to use out of 200 soothing sounds and a range of smart features to help me go to sleep faster, deeper, and longer. On Better Sleep, the app, you can explore audio tracks that have categories such as ASMR, brainwaves, meditation, stories, and more. And we're really, really good with the meditation and the stories. Both my kids and I both love them. Or you can use a pre-made soundscape mix and combine your favorite sounds, which is really nice. All of us in the family use these and we love them.
So Jackson and I both have to have a lot of noise and sound to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. I've kind of always been like that. I just love with the Better Sleep app, you can personalize the sleep experience that calms your racing thoughts, boost concentration. I'm no longer counting sheep anymore, like my grandmother told me whenever we were growing up when we didn't have apps like this. And I love it. They have your favorite sounds, color, noises, melodies. They just have an expansive library to create your perfect mix. And it's one of the most positively reviewed apps in the Apple App Store and named Apple's app of the day over 65 times, 55 million downloads. High quality rest is vital to your mental well-being and physical health. I know that all too well. When I don't get the sleep that I need, I definitely know about it. And this is just a great way to clear your mind, ease your stress with expert guided meditations and hypnosis.
You're going to love this. When you sleep better, you feel better, as we all know. Improve your quality of life in as little as 1 week. Download Better Sleep from your App Store or Google Play. That's Better Sleep on the App Store or Google Play.
Next question, family feuds. Do you think they're more common than typically talked about?
Yes, and it makes me so upset because I have always like romanticized and fantasized about having siblings and like this close-knit family. And I look at the Kardashians and, you know, the D'Amelios and the Addison Rae family and all of these families that are so the Richies. And I'm like, and even, you know, my cousins that are super close, they're like my second cousins, but I don't look at them as my second cousins. I look at them as just first cousins. Anyway, they're super close, tight knit. And so I've always like romanticized that in my head. Like that's how all families are. But the older I get, the more I realize that less and less families are actually that close. And it makes me so sad because it's such a reality check compared to what I have always thought in my and it hurts because I worry about my kids and I know, and I think I said it before on this podcast, like I see Isaac very much going in his own direction, you know, as he gets older. And I think the younger ones will be closer just because they have more in common. But it makes me so sad because I just think about maybe subconsciously that's why I've had so many kids, is because that's what I always wanted for myself. You know, and it just, I think the family feuding and the families not getting along is way more common than we actually know.
I think that there's strife in all families. I think some families handle it better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And makeups of all families are very different. You know, my dad has 2 kids from his first marriage and then 3 from his second. And I think just that makeup alone is complicated. And so, you know, some of that I think definitely causes some conflict just right off the bat. And then when you have more family members, you're talking like big families like the Kardashians, there's just so many personalities.
Mm-hmm. And
for my lived experience, my parents have 5 kids, so many different personalities. Some of the siblings basically live and die off of everything that our parents say. And then some of us are just rogue and have our own opinions and don't care. I'll let you guys decide who those are. And, you know, then you've got the family members who take sides, and, you know, that furthers the distance. So I think it's very, very complicated. I think when you're combining families, when you get married, you know, and you're trying to fold into the person you married family, and then they're trying to fold into yours, I think that that's a complicated situation. People in general are just complicated. And so I think that when you've got a lot of opinions, then there comes problems.
Agreed, but still makes me sad.
I was talking to Kristen the other night, like on a late night phone conversation, and we were talking about how you always tell people that you wouldn't be in podcasting if it wasn't for me.
Yeah, because
and I was like,
the truth.
I've never told you this, but I told Kristen, I was like, well, if it wasn't for Kale, I don't think that I would feel as comfortable to be authentically myself as I've been able to become comfortable on this podcast.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that's so nice. No, Kristen was like, you need to tell Kale that. And I was like, yeah, at some point.
You're like, when it's not awkward, I will tell her.
Yeah, because Kale's the most awkward
that
ever.
Is so nice. And I love to hear that, because I don't know if it's true. I don't know where I even heard this. But did you ask Leah and Chelsea to podcast before?
No.
Oh.
No.
Where did I make that up?
Maybe you made that up to invite them on Coffee Convos.
No, like to podcast with them before you asked me.
No.
Because I was like, well, I wonder like how different it would have, because I don't know why I thought that then. So
no,
if you would have podcasted with them, like one of them, I wonder how it would be different, you know?
No, like Will and I and Will's older brother, we were all Teen Mom watchers like in college.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have any interest in some of the girls' storylines. So I would fast forward through parts and like watch yours. And then when you wrote your books, like I had both of your books.
So you liked my story?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Lindsay, yeah. Oh my God. I don't know why I thought that. Why would
And then I met Javi.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew you met him. Did you meet him in Nashville or Atlanta?
In Atlanta, because wasn't he going to like write a book or something?
Yes. So he was there for that publisher.
Yeah. And so I met Javi then, and then it kind of just like organically happened like over Twitter.
So weird. That is so crazy.
I had never even talked to Leah or Chelsea or anything like that before you and I started podcasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone told me that or if I made that up like completely out of the blue. Okay. Well, that
seems like something you would make up.
Yeah. I mean, I truly may have. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought that.
Okay. People want a mental health update.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm taking a hit right now. I mentioned that I upped my dose to 20 milligrams a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if I'm just in a funk or if it's just not working and I need to switch meds again. The one thing I have not asked my provider is how long said antidepressants are supposed to work for, because I've heard people say, I don't know if I was supposed to be on them for this many years or, things like that. And so I don't know if the one that I'm on Lexapro, I don't know if it's like a long-term thing, a semi-long-term thing. I've been on Lexapro in general has it been a year? Like Lexapro, because I tried Zoloft first.
I feel like it's been some time. Yeah, it's been
almost a year maybe for Lexapro, and it was really working, and then it stopped working. He put me on the anxiety meds, but I don't think I need that yet. I need to get my depression under control. So I told Kristen the other day, I said, I have to have him order the cheek swab, because we never ended up doing the cheek swab for whatever meds would work best, because the Lexapro started working. So I was like, I don't need to do that, but I don't feel like it's working right now. So I need to figure that out. I'm in a weird place. I'm sleeping a lot again. Don't really want to do anything. I always say that when I'm going through like my depression situation, I'm on my phone less. So you'll see less stories throughout my days, showing less of my face. I don't even want to edit TikTok. So I haven't really put any TikToks up. And I know that this could be like the ebbs and flows, because antidepressants, they don't completely take depression away. They just help curb the symptoms. And so I don't know if it's just like that. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping I come out of it pretty soon. I do have a doctor appointment in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll have some answers and can get some tests done then.
One of my favorite things that you have said through this depression journey is my Lexapro is Lexaproing. I love that so much. And I just feel like the Lexapro is not Lexaproing right now.
No, it's not.
Remember you gave advice to people who were going through shit and hard times. And you said, just do like something small. Have you been following that advice or not really?
I haven't. No, I don't think I have. I told Kristen yesterday, I'm like, I need to take a 10-minute walk every day, and I haven't been doing that. I did for the last like 5 days. I've walked everywhere. So, but overall in the past 2-3 weeks, I have not walked anywhere. I haven't really sat in the sun much. So I'm not getting, good quality air and vitamin D and all of that. So I feel
like it's a shift to like this time of the year for parents and moms in general. I think it's just like a chaotic time of the year, and so much gets on your schedule and you feel so overwhelmed when you see it, and you're like, I've got to do all of these things. I need to be all of these places, and you get overwhelmed. It's like, how am I ever going to accomplish all of these things?
100%. 100%. And I even thought to myself this morning, because Creed's a horrible sleeper. I've talked about it before. Last night, he had a really good night and he was super happy this morning. And I'm still tired today. Like, it's just weird. Yeah, I definitely think just this time of the year, like you said, is super overwhelming. And there's a lot going on. We're still in baseball. Flag football just ended. Lincoln's about to sign up for another basketball league. So it's just like a lot still, but almost like maybe once the school year itself is done, things will start to level out a little bit.
Well, because you're going through a schedule shift too. Like, you're mentally kind of preparing for them not being in school.
Yeah.
And so that's really hard. And I know a lot of parents are going to relate to this whenever I say the next statement. You feel like you don't have enough hours in the day.
Right.
And then when you go to get in your bed, it's like you feel like you get in it to just get back out of it in such a short amount of time. And then it's on to the next tasks. And that is so exhausting in itself. I have been feeling that as well. And I feel like also I'm finally getting to the point. It takes me a long time to fully process things and changes and to adjust to life changes. So I am finally getting to the point of realizing that I have to adjust to what our new normal is. Like, I can't talk to my dad every day. And
oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Yeah, your mom, Julie, the whole nine.
It's it's a lot. And just going through what feels like the closure of that situation, although it's not really closure, I think it's more of like an acceptance.
Right. I was going to say that.
I think I'm kind of going through that.
Am I allowed to ask you, are you and your siblings and like Nanny, do you guys have like a schedule so that someone's always visiting or no?
So it's hard for me because I have Jackson every other weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And with being so undecided on when I am going to take him to see my parents, I kind of wanted to give it until summer because that's going to be a heavy thing. Mm-hmm. And being the end of the school year, it's just not, I don't feel like as his mother, it's in his best interest to do it right now. Maybe to be able to process those feelings and to ask the questions that I know that he's going to ask after. I want him to be able to be at home with me.
Okay.
And so Lexington is pretty close to Nashville. It's drivable within a day, so they can go and visit and then come back that same night home. It's a lot further for me to do that. And I still have not been approved to be able to see Julie, which is insane. My dad is also a decent drive, and he very much wants to have visits with less people so he can focus on
like a quality visit with one or two people versus the whole group.
Quality over quantity.
Right.
And so I think that he's definitely prioritizing the minor children. So, Grayson and Chloe, who would have been affected on an everyday basis, if that makes sense. So I do plan to try to do that over the summer. And I feel like in any situation that you go through that is traumatic, it's like there's an adrenaline there, even though it's like a negative one, but it's still like you're in the survival mode. And then it all sinks in at some point. And I think that I've made it to that point.
Right.
It's really sinking in. And, with me taking Jackson on trips coming up this summer, I feel like Will's taking him on trips and everything's kind of like leveling out there. And we have reached a point where, like this morning, he was in my kitchen after he was taking his emergency shit. And
not the emergency shit.
We were talking about mine and Jackson's evening last night. Will was talking about going on a date, and everything's just like so normal. And it seems like all of the things that I've been going through in life are hitting what feels like closure or like final phases. So that's definitely worn on me in the past couple of weeks. And I just feel very overwhelmed with various different emotions.
And I think that's completely fair for everything that you have going on. I don't think that that's like would be out of the norm, or, I mean, that has to be normal.
Correct. Okay. We have 3 foul plays.
Love all your podcasts and just wanted to share my foul play. Please keep me anonymous.
Duh.
For our anniversary last year, my husband and I booked a night at a new, beautiful hotel nearby. We wanted to let loose for the night, so we decided to try some edibles. In this exact moment was where we fucked up. He gave me 2.5 pieces of gummies without reading the instructions, which only calls for half for first timers. That shit hit me like a ton of bricks and had me on my ass, literally. We tried to have dinner at the restaurant downstairs, but we were both so fucked up. I ordered the steak bites, but was so disappointed because it tasted like straight sand in my mouth. I'm sure the waitress hated us because I was so high. I felt so stupid and paranoid. I wanted to finish my food because I was so hungry, but I couldn't because of the texture. It finally made me gag and I had to run to the bathroom to throw up. My husband follows behind me to help. So at the same time, I'm freaking out thinking that the waitress is probably thinking that we were running out on the tab. As I'm throwing up, I also started to pee my pants from the violent hurls. I just had a baby 6 months. I just had a baby 6 months ago, so my bladder game is weak. Once I'm done, my husband stands behind me to try to cover me and save me from the embarrassment as we make our way out our way up to the elevator to our room. He turns the shower on for me and tells me to wash up while he runs back downstairs to close the bill. I could barely stand up straight to get undressed, and once I did, I just sat there naked in the running shower while contemplating my whole life and how I got to this moment. I don't know how I managed, but I made it to the bed and ended up falling asleep wrapped in the hotel robe. As the cherry on top, we had to be up and ready at the ass crack of dawn the next day to catch our flight. I thought she said it was nearby.
Yeah, like that ain't nearby, sweetheart.
I still get sick to this day at the thought of an edible and definitely need a redo on this hotel experience. Okay, I used to love smoking weed. I don't think it's a secret. It's in my book. I used to smoke weed all the time. That being said, I didn't try an edible until I was a grown-ass adult, like way later. Because I don't think that edibles were like a thing when I was in high school. So but edibles will put you on your fucking ass. Like you will never, like nothing compares to edibles, in my opinion.
Well, I'll just tell you, I'm not going to tell you who did it, but I thought I was taking a CBD gummy one time.
Oh, shit.
And one of my siblings gave me one of these.
Uh-huh.
I was not well. And I also was in the confines of my parents' home.
And you were probably contemplating your entire life. The things you think of when I need to know, like, what about THC does that to us? Like, you'll just think about every fucking, like, is there aliens on the moon? Like, there's just so many things and so many questions that you have. And it's when you're high. It's not when you're, like, normal and sober.
Okay, but outside of that, one thing that I was thinking about as you were reading along, have you ever, like, had a lonely dinner before or like a lonely lunch where it's like just you and you have to go to the bathroom?
Like at a restaurant?
Yeah. Like have you ever gone to one by yourself? Because I have, and I don't mind it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't call it lonely because I don't mind it.
Yeah, but it's still lonely because nobody's there with you. Like you're in your own company, but like nobody's there.
I also go ahead.
The point of me saying that is when you go to the bathroom and you have food there, I have always wondered and like feel paranoid that they're going to think that I'm trying to like dine and dash.
Yes. Or like if I have my kids, like my older kids, and I run to the bathroom, I don't want them to be like, well, where is is the bill going to be paid? I hate that. So like even if you're just with your partner, like one person, you guys have to take turns going to the bathroom because you don't want them to think that you're dining and ditching.
Yeah, for sure. It stresses me out. But also, I wanted to say thank you for listening to all of our podcasts. Like, I really appreciate that. The fact that you trust us enough to listen to multiple shows a week. Like, you must really love the bullshit.
Oh, yeah. She's in it with us. You know what I mean? Okay,
next foul play. I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
My first makeout session behind a church when I was 14. Wow. I was making out with my then boyfriend on the pebbled dirt road behind the church when all of a sudden a badass glob of his mucus fell into my mouth from his nose.
No.
I'm talking like the size of a golf ball of pure mucus. I was 14, thought he was the love of my life, so I just spit it out and we kept making out.
Nope.
Pretty sure that was God telling me to knock it off.
What in the hell? How?
Is that like a snot ball? Like it came out of her nose? Like, is that just like a glob of snot?
You know, I'm thinking of like, you know, when babies get real congested and all of a sudden both nostrils are just dripping with like that thick green mucus when they're sick and it just comes out of nowhere. That's what I was thinking. But like you're making out, so he probably can't breathe. So he probably trying to breathe in and out of his nose, and all of a sudden this glob of goo came out of his nose. And that is, I wonder, like, did she stay with him for a while? Like at what point did she realize that, like,
I immediately am going to identify in this story that if this was me, I would know that they were not the love of my life before we even started making out, when they tried to make out with me when they had some type of cold.
No, he probably didn't. He wasn't he's a 14-year-old horny kid. He's not worried about a cold. But
even when you're 14 years old, if you have a cold, why are we swapping spit?
Because it's a 14-year-old boy who is horny. That's like the horniest they'll ever be in their life.
But like, why are you horny at church?
Nobody said they were. They said behind a church, not their church.
Feels like it was their church. Like, why would they just be behind a church? Like on a pebble road.
It's a dirt road anthem. Anyway, I'm just kidding. The next one.
Goodbye.
What did Jason Aldean? Was that Jason Aldean that did that song?
Chillin' on a dirt road. Laid back, swerving like I'm George Jones.
Okay, we never need to come up with a country song ever because I will fuck it up. I grew up in a very small town. I'm talking like everyone knew everyone and your mama knew their mama and auntie type of small town. One day, everyone in the town gets a nude in their text from a girl I went to school with. Back then, with the flip phones, select all was at the top when you'd go to send a text or a picture, and she accidentally texted all her nude instead of her boyfriend. My aunt got the picture. My sister's boyfriend got the picture. I got the picture. I couldn't help but to think how many people were now in possession of this photo. Needless to say, she never lived it down. Okay. That's awful, and I feel so bad.
That's why you shouldn't have been sending photos when you had a flip phone and you could select all, because that is too risky.
I mean, today she could probably deny it was her because it's probably so pixelated and just like low quality. She could be like, that wasn't me.
I don't know. And if everybody got it, a very small town, how many people are we talking?
I mean, my very small town, population 4,000 when I lived there.
Could you just imagine you having a select all button in your phone and it going to your entire contacts?
No, especially with like my mom's family being super well known where we're from. And my aunt is a doctor there. My uncle was a teacher. No.
If that ever happened to me, I would never answer my phone again.
Yeah, that's like would you rather see the video of your mom having sex or her get a video of you?
Her get a video of me still.
I would turn my phone off and immediately never turn it back on for the responses.
You do that already.
Yeah, and it's not nudes, so yeah.
I love that. Okay, well, I'm going to go and get a manicure because my middle fingers are jacked up again. So I'm going to try to do something new. Trying to decide if I'm going to take the gel off or if I'm going to get SNS or if I'm going to get acrylics. I just don't know what to do. So going to try to figure that out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to figure that out. If you guys have not followed us on @CoffeeCombos Podcast on Instagram, make sure you follow us there. If you have not subscribed to our show, you can do that on any podcast app, wherever you get your podcast. And always first at Podcast One. We hope you guys have a great week and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
See what's streaming free all month long during Amplify AAPI Voices on Pluto TV. Watch shows like Kim's Convenience with Simu Liu and amazing movies like Meet the Patels and Jason Momoa in Braven. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows available on live and on demand. Download Pluto TV on all your favorite devices for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.